Welcome to Trade Finder, the series where I take a look at the 2015-2016 NBA season standings and take a look at the struggling teams and do a what-if scenario trade for that said team. Today we are doing the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are currently at the bottom of the Western Conference. Coming into the season, I did not think the Timberwolves would be this bad, but no, they're pretty bad. Unfortunately, Ricky Rubio, Pekovic getting healthy, and Kevin Martin were just not enough for this young squad. With that being said, those three guys are the big question mark for the Minnesota Timberwolves moving forward. Obviously, Kevin Garnett is only going to be there 1 or maybe even 2 more years with this team, and then it's truly a young core of guys. And the question is, do the Minnesota Timberwolves keep Ricky Rubio, Kevin Martin, and Pekovic all together? No, they're not. There's been rumors already saying they want to trade Kevin Martin away this season. Will it happen? Maybe. Bigger unlikely chance of anything happening would be Pekovic's contract moving, considering how large it is. So in today's episode, I don't personally believe any of these trades are really realistic, but you guys will let me know in the comment section below like you usually do. So let's get started off with the first trade I proposed between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Utah Jazz. The Minnesota Timberwolves acquired Trevor Booker, Chris Johnson, and Raul Neto, while the Utah Jazz, on the other hand, acquired Nikola Pekovic and Adrian Payne. So taking a look at the new look rotation for the Timberwolves, they got 3 bench guys to come off and be a part of a young rotation. Pretty sure the only player that would probably be beneficial with this trade would be Raul Neto once Andre Miller retires. They really don't have a backup point guard for Ricky Rubio besides Tyus Jones, so Raul Neto is the key asset here with this trade. While the Utah Jazz, on the other hand, their new look rotation, they get a backup center for Rudy Gobert, who's been hurt the majority of this season. He has a huge contract, and this is why I do believe it is a one-sided deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves really paying off more than the Utah Jazz. The only thing the Utah Jazz get in return is a backup potential player in Adrian Payne. But this was surprisingly one of the only teams that I could find a place for Nikola Pekovic's big contract, and it's not that bad actually. 3 years, $12 million. There's guys getting 5-year, $15 million contracts just to be a backup center in the league. So it's pretty bad, but it could always be worse. Maybe if you're lucky, the Utah Jazz can resurrect Nikola Pekovic's career because of all the injuries he's been going through lately. It's just something with the Wolves team. Like, once you're on the Wolves teams, you're just bound to get hurt. Look at Ricky Rubio, Pekovic, Brandon Roy. Rest in peace, Brandon Roy. Moving on to the next trade between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns. The Timberwolves acquire Markieff Morris and Sonny Weems, while the Phoenix Suns acquire Kevin Martin and Envyerz. I'm sorry I butchered his name. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But moving on to the Minnesota Timberwolves' new look rotation, they got a power forward to start next to Karl-Anthony Towns in the near future. This may not be what the rotation looks like this season, but once KG retires and once, I guess, Pekovic takes a backseat role, a Markieff Morris and Karl-Anthony Towns duo would look pretty nice on paper, if you ask me. Sonny Weems is just obviously there for contract reasons. Another guard in the Minnesota Timberwolves rotation may not be a good thing considering how many guards they already do have. But one thing's for sure, they're playing that boy Tayshaun Prince way too many minutes, so maybe Shabazz Muhammad could get some of those minutes, or even Sonny Weems, I guess. I'm not sure how they're going to do that whole rotation if a trade similar to this goes through, but that's that. Moving on to the Phoenix Suns' new look rotation, they get a shooting guard in Kevin Martin for only 2 years, to mentor Devin Booker. I said Kevin Booker, but Devin Booker. Hopefully by then the Phoenix Suns know the direction they're going in and either find a way to ship Eric Bledsoe or Brandon Knight, because this whole 2-guard rotation, I don't know. Devin Booker seems to be the shooting guard of the future for this Phoenix Suns team, and hopefully he is. Hopefully Kevin Martin can mentor him. They both have similar games. Maybe not so much now, but at a time, they are both very similar players. Now moving on to the last and final trade of this episode between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Clippers. Timberwolves acquire Jamal Crawford and the Clippers acquire Kevin Martin. Pretty simple trade. This is the new look rotation for the Timberwolves. Jamal Crawford's going to be right in the bench. You could argue that he comes off the bench before Shabazz Muhammad or after Shabazz Muhammad. It really is a good situation for this trade to happen, considering he is an expiring contract and they don't necessarily have to re-sign him after they go through with a trade similar to this. As for the Clippers' new look rotation, Kevin Martin coming off the bench behind JJ Redick. It's kind of a similar player to Jamal Crawford. Maybe he doesn't have the best handles compared to Crawford, and I don't think this is what necessarily the Clippers need, but it's definitely depth. And this trade is just I don't know what this trade is. It's just like a card swap. Like, they're the exact same players. They're gonna get you buckets, and one of them just so happens to be on a 2-year contract compared to a 1-year. So this more helps the Timberwolves, if anything, than the Clippers. But I decided to throw it in here because it was nice and simple, and I like nice and simple trades because those are the most realistic trades that happen in the NBA. And that's pretty much it for the Minnesota Timberwolves. This team isn't really a team that needs to do a trade. Teams like the Kings, the Suns, the Pelicans, those are the teams that are most likely going to be doing a trade at trade deadline. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are in a weird situation right now because they got a lot of old guys starting over their young guys. Andre Miller, Tayshaun Prince, Kevin Garnett. Like, these dudes, besides Andre Miller, are starting in the starting rotation at times, taking away the minutes from the young guys. And hopefully it works out for them, to be totally honest, because they have a lot of young talent, and it seems like they're just one piece away from finding their place in the Western Conference. And maybe for once they can actually make the playoffs in the next 2 years. I don't think they'll make the playoffs next year, but depending on what they do in offseason and depending on who they trade at trade deadline this season, it's definitely going to be an interesting team to watch in the near future, and I cannot wait. So with that said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and be sure to let me know how you liked or disliked these trades in the comment section below. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.